Our very good friend Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation joining us here for her usual Tuesday hit. We always appreciate her time. Alyssa, how are you today?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you today?
Doing well.
Doing great. Doing really great. You know, your Dodgers are just a really good team this year. They're really good. I mean, they just won 6 games in a row. They're tied for. They've got the second best record in the National League. I mean, you keep winning division after division. You got to be pretty proud of your Dodgers this year so far, Alyssa. So, how the heck can you explain losing to the dregs of? Well, they're really not because they're in third place. The Pirates should never beat the Dodgers. I don't care who's pitching. I don't care if hell has frozen over. This should never happen. So you knew this was coming.
Oh, I know. And you know what? You deserve it. You can have some love for your Pirates, and that's okay. You know, it's baseball. Sometimes that happens. Julio Urias on the mound yesterday, usually pretty solid. Maybe just had an off day. I don't know. Tony Gonsolin's on the mound, though, tonight. We'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah.
We'll give you one.
I mean, it's not a frightening lineup Pittsburgh puts out there with 15 base hits. I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. How did you become a Dodgers fan? How'd this turn into your team?
Sure, born and raised. There are some pictures. I was born in August of '87, and there are some pictures of me and my dad sitting on the couch about 1 year old in '88 when the Dodgers last won the World Series before they did it in 2020. My dad was a Dodgers fan. He was born in California. And so I've always been a Dodgers fan. I'm a Dolphins fan, too, and that's thanks to my dad. And growing up in our living room, there was a picture of Kirk Gibson with his arm in the air beside a life-size cutout of Dan Marino. So that's where my fandom comes from.
That's pretty good. I assume you've made it to a game at Dodger Stadium. Then I've been there for a couple of games, and, I mean, it is a simple, fantastic place to watch a baseball game.
It's really fun. I've gone twice. I interned in L.A. In between my junior and senior year, and so I was fortunate to go to 2 games while I was out there for that summer, and it was awesome. Just a really cool ballpark, obviously, to be in. And got tickets for their Saturday game against the Royals coming up in August. My dad's flying in from Virginia, so we're going to go to that game. We're excited.
Yeah, there's just a simplicity that it used to be even more simple because for a long time, up until, I don't know, like 25 years ago, I think it was when Fox bought the team, there was one billboard in the stadium, and it was just the 76 ball on top of the scoreboard, and that was it. But now it's, now it's like every other ballpark. Let's stay with the stick and ball sport because softball is, I don't know if they're there yet. They might be, but I know the SEC tournament is starting this weekend. And, I mean, you might as well supplant your SEC regular season championship with a tournament championship. But, I mean, their resume right now as the league champion, I mean, this is a top 8 national seed no matter what happens in Gainesville, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you win the SEC, that's a statement. I know Courtney Deifel has said that. When you win it back-to-back, that's a bigger statement. And so this team, I have no doubt, will host a regional. If they get through that, we'll host a super regional. And truly, this could be the team that goes to the Women's College World Series. I have no doubt that it's going to take a lot to beat this Arkansas team the way that they are playing and specifically the way that they are hitting the softball right now. It's really impressive. I'd love to go see them go down to Gainesville, wrap up a tournament, win. But we all know that those SEC tournaments, specifically in softball and baseball, don't mean a whole lot, and it doesn't change a whole lot when it comes to where you're going to be in the NCAA selection postseason. So right now, I see them being a 4 seed and hosting up until Oklahoma City.
And Alyssa, you bring up the fact that they don't really add anything to the resume. But one of the main arguments why a lot of people don't want you to go long into Hoover is to save pitching. You got to save those arms. You need the days off. You need it to rest. In softball, it's so much different because of the motion and the less wear and tear on your shoulder that it's not uncommon to see a pitcher throw multiple innings across 3 straight games. So does that play into a role of where our kind of more the mindset, we're here, we might as well win it?
Yeah, I think with softball, you can easily win it and not exhaust pitching like a baseball team can. I mean, if you watch the Women's College World Series at all last year and you saw JMU's fantastic run, which, by the way, I was born on campus at JMU, but my parents are alma mater, so Duke Dogs. She pitched every single game. And you can't do that in baseball. You know, you have Shanice Dells on this Arkansas team, and you have Mary Half, who can go back and forth. But if they need to throw Mary Half 3 straight games, they can do it. And they have to throw Shanice Dells 3 straight games, they can do it. And that's the biggest difference with softball is a lot of these big teams, OU, UCLA, Florida State, the teams that have been really good and have won recently usually have one pitcher who is their go-to person. Arkansas really has 2 right now, which is kind of a luxury that they have that not a lot of teams have. But, yes, you can go win it and not exhaust your pitching like you can in baseball.
Mm-hmm. And switching over to baseball, as we are down to our final 2 series before getting to Hoover, is 500, just 3-3 of the last 2 weekends, is that good enough to secure a top 8 seed, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think they need to obviously win both series, which would mean you have to win at least 4 games because they're right now teetering on that 9 spot, 8 spot. And this is an Arkansas team that, again, needs to continue to trend in the right direction. Going to Auburn and getting that road series win was really big for this team and how they're feeling in a national spotlight with top 8 seeds. But then you can't just sit back and cruise control the last 2 weeks of the year because, again, the SEC baseball tournament's not really going to do much for you. You've got to be able to perform against Vanderbilt, and you got to be able to beat Alabama on the road before you go to Hoover. And make it a no-brainer for the committee to make you a national seed. Because if you're a 9 seed, you know, right now they've got it paired with Notre Dame. You go to South Bend if you win your regional. Arkansas, you just don't want to travel if you don't have to, and you want to finish strong and be playing your best baseball right now. So I would like for them to obviously win these next 2 series. I think it's huge. If they don't, I bet they're a top 16 seed, but they're not a top 8 national seed.
It's wild to think about that, and you're probably right as of right now.
Right.
If you win your next 2 series, you're going to be a top 8.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any 2 ways about it. But they could still find themselves in a position, Alyssa, with a series win and a series loss out of the next 2 weeks, still being potentially a division champion in the SEC, but still feeling like you've got to have a little push in Hoover to try not to make the tournament. Like 2015. I remember they went into that SEC tournament thinking, you know, we've got to get at least 1 win here to, like, secure it. And they were one of the last at-large teams that got in 2015.
Right.
This is different.
You remember in 2015, yeah, absolutely. They went to Oklahoma State that year for the regional.
Right.
And then they lucked out and got to host Missouri State, but that was technically supposed to be at Missouri State, and they had conflicting issues with their ballpark. So Arkansas got to host. And so they kind of lucked out, right? And so when's the last time we've actually had to go on the road in the postseason? It's been a really long time. Virginia, maybe, that Virginia regional that they had to go to.
Right.
So you just want to play at home. And the way that this team is playing at home right now, it's what you want to do, and you want to be able to host. But, yeah, you got to start playing really good baseball. You got to start hitting the ball well. You know, some defensive errors we saw at Auburn aren't detrimental, but then, you know, they are kind of like, yeah, okay, that's not so great. You've been playing such good defense all year. Probably not the greatest thing, but it doesn't obviously kill you. But just go win baseball games, and I think you guys are going to be fine.
You know, one of the reasons they're in the position that they're in for baseball, and part of it is the teams in the West Division aren't quite as strong as they've been in previous years, and you played 2 of the lower RPI teams in the West. It's just that's the year that you fell on playing Kentucky and playing Missouri. But the out-of-conference scheduling just didn't feel as aggressive. And we've seen in recent years, like they've gone on the road to Louisiana Tech. They've gone on the road midweek to Texas. 2020, they had a road series scheduled at Michigan State. You know what has kind of, and it hasn't killed their RPI because it's 20 right now. But what's hurt their RPI, in-state teams. There's no 2 ways about it. Like, I want them to play the in-state teams, but those teams have to get better. Otherwise, it doesn't help Arkansas.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that we're saying. You love the in-state games because they're fun. It gets the, you know, state interested in the entirety of the state. But now you got to have to look at those teams and kind of say, all right, well, you know, how do you guys get better? How do we help you playing Arkansas? Does that help you recruit a little bit better, being an in-state team? Because it has hurt them. And, you know, and then at some point they might have to make the decision of, as nice as it is to play these in-state schools, it's hurting us in our RPI. And then at what point do you say, I'm sorry, we just can't do it anymore? And then you fall into that category, kind of like the War Memorial Stadium debate, where it's like, it was fun while it lasted, but at some point it might be more beneficial for us not to play here anymore. And then now we see where we are with the War Memorial Stadium stuff. So Dave's going to have a hard decision with scheduling coming up in the coming years. If this is really playing them is worth it. And that might be a hard decision to have to say, you know what, it was fun while it lasted, but I can't afford to do it anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if those teams don't get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, Alyssa. I think, sometimes and especially now that it's been a couple of years, the newness kind of wore off. It's kind of just ran its course, and you just got to do what's best for you. And why you like to extend the olive branch and play those teams, if they don't help you, then they don't help you. One person that's going to help you, at least you hope and think that he will, down this final stretch and into Hoover and then hopefully all the way to Omaha, is Will McIntyre. I mean, what he was able to do this week, how much more innings do you think he's going to get? How much more do you think his name's going to get called by Dave Van Horn?
I will say I was really surprised to see him, not in a bad way, but to see his name get called before Evan Taylor's in Game 3 at Auburn. And that's just a testament to the way that he's pitching right now and how impressed the coaching staff has been with the way that he's pitching. And if you go back to what he did against UCA and Little Rock, Dave Van Horn said after that game he pitched really well. And he's making a statement that's saying, hey, pay attention to me because I could be someone that you can rely on here down the stretch. And it's been really cool to see this guy blossom this season and really kind of fall into his own. And he could be that guy that once the postseason gets here, he's a guy that they call on and has really really starts to shine. And so it's been really cool. He's a Bryant kid from the state of Arkansas. If you didn't see the video of him giving his mom a Mother's Day card after the game on Sunday, it was really cute. It's on Twitter. But you got to root for a kid like that who's just put in the work, continued to take advantage of the opportunities that he's given, and now he's in the position that he is.
It's a fantastic story. I mean, he was like the last pitcher on anybody's mind, 20th pitcher to appear in a game for the Razorbacks this year. Mm-hmm. It's like I told the listeners yesterday, Alyssa, I got a text message from Auburn's radio announcer when McIntyre emerged from the bullpen as if to say, who's this guy? He asked, was he hurt this year? No, he wasn't hurt. Nobody thought about him.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember, I believe they were going down to Round Rock, they were going, might have been Texas A&M. But during his press conference, he had never been on the road roster. He was like, I'm excited. I haven't been on the road. So you definitely are taking Will McIntyre on the road now.
Got that right. You got that right. Alyssa, we'll leave it there. Good luck to your Dodgers today. You know they're going to need it.
Thank you. 5:30, Phil.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.